Hi everyone, it's a live television program and it covers high school football. Varsity Sports Live with that man, Jason Andera. We're going to get to Jody Norstead in a second. I'm David Brown. Just another awesome Friday.
You know, I was looking forward to this one. A couple of 1 versus 2s in South Dakota, a 2 versus 3, a team that's won 5 straight championships playing up a class against a tough team. We had a lot of great storylines in South Dakota. I can't wait to dig into.
Well, let's get right into the scoreboard, and we're going to start in South Dakota. The first 1-2 matchup in AAA. Woo! Not really much of a matchup. 42-17, the Cavs over the Knights. Jefferson showing why they are number 1 in South Dakota's biggest class. That one just went final out at Howard Wood Harrisburg. 36-7 over Sioux Falls, Washington. We may see a flip-flop between O'Gorman and Harrisburg next week. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, the Tigers got started out in the year with the first loss, but have done nothing but win since that first week.
You were out at Brandon. That's probably the story of the night in South Dakota. 43-34. Pierre was down 28-7 and came back.
Tale of two halves. We'll get into all the details, but just trust me, these Pierre Governors and their fans were treated to a great game and a great ending.
Sioux Falls linking up 3 scores out west in Rapid City. That game still in the third quarter. Meanwhile, also out west, Sioux Falls Roosevelt, they get their first win in a battle of 0-5 teams, 47-18 over Rapid City Central. 2-11 AA T area no problem, I should say, with Sturgis Brown 57-7, your final in that one. Up in Brookings in a battle of 3 versus 4.
The Brady Bowl.
Yeah, the Brady Bowl. Yes, Brady Muth and Brady Clark. Bobcats made it interesting, but in the end, the Yankton comes away with the 11-point victory, 38-27. Aberdeen Central spoils Watertown's homecoming, 17-0. More South Dakota scores include West Central, 48-0 over Tri-Valley. Third shutout of the season for the Trojans. 2 versus 3 matchup you were mentioning earlier. It's Del Rapids over Beersford, 20-6. The Couriers have held their last 2 opponents to just 6 points.
Yeah, the Couriers can play a little defense too, and we've got highlights of that one coming up.
Moving on with more scores, Dakota Valley 47-24 over Lennox in 11B. This was another 1-2 matchup that really, again, it was a blowout win for the number 1 team, winner over Bridgewater Emory Ethan 36-0. Third straight shutout for the Warriors.
This begins a 3-game stretch for winner where they play 3 undefeated teams in a row. So this could be the gauntlet for the winner Warriors.
11A, 11B next week, winner against West Central. That's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Let's go.
More scores. St. Thomas More and Aberdeen Roncalli, they will take place on Saturday. And how about this one? 9AA Parkston over 9A Gregory, 32-25.
You're going to want to watch the highlights in this one. This was a crazy game. Came down to a couple conversions and some big hits, some big defensive plays. Yeah, we've got some highlights of that one.
If you remember, Parkston's only loss this season was to Hanson on that run back at the end of the half where they lost 8-6.
Right.
More scores from around South Dakota. Speaking of 8-6, that's the final between Warner and Hamlin.
9A team taking on a 9AA team. This is an important win for Warner, and they may move up to number 1 with Gregory's loss.
And Wall all over Hardin County, 55-0. That is 22 straight regular season wins in a row for the Wall Eagles. Moving to North Dakota, 4-5 matchup. Fargo Shanley over Bismarck Legacy, 28-16. Legacy led this one 16-0, 28 unanswered from the Deacons. West Fargo Cheyenne, 27-14 over the Magicians from Minot. West Fargo, they get their second straight win with a 30-7 victory over Bismarck St. Mary's. Mandan all over Bismarck, 63-22. That's the third straight win for the Braves. In a game that took place on Thursday, Bismarck Century got their first win of the season, 34-7 over Williston. Battle of number 1s, Fargo Davies, number 1 in AA, Fargo South, number 1 in 11A. And it's AA prevailing 34-7, 4 straight wins in the series for Davies over South. Here's a big one. Grand Forks Red River 38-6 over Fargo North. They were shut out last week. We're the Rough Riders. They lost to Fargo North 42-8 last season, almost a full reversal this season.
Nice bounce back after what happened last week, and I still think they may be a contender by the time this thing's over.
Valley City all over Wahpeton. Remember, Wahpeton upset Jamestown, number 1 Jamestown last week, but the Highliners, they haven't given up more than 7 points in a game all season. Grand Forks Central 49-14 over West Fargo Horace. Jamestown, they bounced back from that loss to reduce them from number 1 to number 2 with a 33-8 victory over Dickinson. In 11B, Kindred no issue with Central Cass. Trey Heinrich 200 yards, all 4 touchdowns for the Vikings. They've won every game this season by at least 19 points. The Tommies have played some close ones recently, but they moved to 7-0 with a 35-11 victory over Oak Grove. Hillsborough Central Valley 27-0 over number 4 Botno. First shutout of the season For the Burros, the Lax Burlington 24-15 over Bishop Ryan. First win over the Lions for the Lakers since 2017. Beulah 50-36. They're used to pitching shutouts. They gave up the most points they've ever had this season. They also scored the most they had this season, so it doesn't really matter. They win by 14. Dickinson Trinity up 10 over Hazen. That one's still in the third quarter. Lemoore Litchfield Marion 48-0 over Hankinson. They are 7-0. 5 of their 7 victories, Jandy, have come via shutout. And speaking of shutouts, 7-0 New Salem Almont with a 44-0 win over Kidder County in North Dakota. North Prairie and New Rockford Cheyenne don't have a score from that one. And then West Hope Newburgh Glenburn over Mohall Lansford Sherwood 50-16. But you see a lot of interesting finals and seeing some of those 1-2 and 2-3 matchups, some of those cross-class matchups, all very interesting.
And the shutouts from the 1 and 2 teams in the 9-man football there, that was a real showing when you can get this far into the season and continue to put those shutouts down.
Well, it's a Friday night, and back in the days with TGIF on Friday nights, you would always have those very special episodes. This is a very special episode of Varsity Sports Live because we're starting in North Dakota with Jody Norstead because a lot happened in North Dakota tonight, didn't it?
Yeah, boy, I hope all the North Dakota high school football fans are watching early tonight because this is a little switcheroo, but it's nice to go first, guys.
Yeah.
And it was a fun night. A lot of wild things happening. Some top 5 meetings, especially at that 11 AA level. I think of Shanley and Legacy. And heck, why don't we start there? Arguably the biggest game in 11 AA. Shanley ranked 4th in the state. Legacy ranked 5th. The regular season ended today. Legacy would be 4th in the QRF, Shanley the 5th, and they'd meet in the first round of the playoffs. Wyatt Kraft with a pick 6 off Michael Rosberg, and how about the home team up 7-0? Then Carl Henry, like the candy bar. Legacy goes up 13-0. This is the first meeting between these two teams, and Legacy putting up a huge statement here. Troy Madden wondering what the heck is going on, but his offense wakes up here a little bit in the second quarter. Michael Rosberg to Sam Oshak. Legacy's lead trimmed to 16-6. That was the score at the half. Third quarter, Rosberg doing it with his legs, trying to will his team back into this one. Still a 16-12 Legacy lead, but they're starting to find some promise here on offense. Then Rosberg to Connor Kraft. Helps when you're 6'8", right, Connor? Boy, great basketball player, too. Then Rosberg going to Vachuri Hakim. How about another tall, lanky basketball player? Chris Carter-like on the sidelines to get the feet in bounds. Shanley up 20-16. Then in the fourth quarter, more Shanley offense to Luke Holcraft this time. And what in the heck did Troy Mattern say to his Deacons at half? They go on to win it 28-16. The Deacons coming from behind after trailing, remember, 13-0 in this one. They get the win to move to 5-1.
We realized first half wasn't the best. We kind of had some shaky plays. Things weren't clicking. We sat down at halftime. Mattern kind of gave us all a look in the eyes, and we got that fire back. And we had to take a little gut check, a heart check to know what kind of team we are. And we came out in the second half, and we got it done. So it was a huge win.
How about Minot with back-to-back tough games, getting a special delivery here. Trinity Health First Response Air Team giving the game ball to Jaden Sparrow for the Magi, but they were hosting a really good Cheyenne squad. Mustangs score right away. Quarterback Caleb Deere on the option, makes it 7-0. Then second quarter, Deere on the option again, likes his chances on the outside, then goes airborne, but the ball was able to get across the plane before he lost it, 14-0. Minot finds some offense here. Coach Chauncey Hendershot drawing a good one up. Sparrow, Jaden Sparrow, the screen pass to Logan Conklin, dragging defenders in. Gets in for 6, but Cheyenne prevails tonight in the Magic City at 27-14 win. Fargo Public Schools go crazy. Both number 1 teams in Class A are yours. 11 AA Davies taking on newly minted number 1 Fargo South from 11A. Bruins had no answer for the Davies pass rush, though. Andre Work gets 2 sacks on the same drive, par for the course when your last name is Work. Eagles up 7-0, looking for more. Oliver Luck with the early touchdown, but Cole Kegba strips the ball loose here from Luck. Kegba has had a monster season. South capitalizes after a long pass play. Colby Nissen calls his own number, parts the Red Sea, tied at 7 apiece. And look at the light show here afterward. High-tech stuff happening at South. You ever watch Good Morning Football? They have a segment called Angry Runs. This fits the bill. Elijah Hayes refusing to go down. This is what happens when a pack of Bruins try to chase an eagle. Get that man a scepter. 14-7 Eagles. Davies' offense starts to click from there. Mason Clavo to a wide open Oliver Luck. You can't leave number 3 that open. 60 yards to the house. That combo has been downright deadly this year. And so has this next one. Claybo throwing it downtown for Ray Brown. Brown's going to haul in the touchdown pass for a 27-7 lead. Gets a little bit of celebration in front of the camera here. Wait for it. How you doing, Ray? Touchdown. In the battle of number ones, Davies rolls to the 34-7 victory. They are 5-1. South is now I believe South drops to, I think, another loss on their 4-2. And they're at St. Mary's next week. Big one for Davies at Shanley next week. Third-ranked Mandan trying to keep pace with the rest of the one-loss teams in 11AA, visiting Bismarck. Demons still searching for win number 1. First quarter, Lincoln Wiseman, who cares about that broken bone in his left arm or whatever it is? Makes it 7-0 here for the Braves for a 54-yard touchdown. Wiseman again, this time from 24 yards out. A stint on that left arm. He just can't switch arms, but he doesn't need to when he's running that wide open. BHS making a game of it, though. After a big kickoff return, Ashton Molsoff starts right, then heads in the middle for the 12-yard score, but this one was all Mandan tonight. 63-22. Absolutely dominant performance from the Braves, who now moved to 5-1, the third-ranked team in the state, humming tonight. And barring a miracle now, it's looking like Bismarck will miss the playoffs for the first time since 1999. The last time West Fargo and St. Mary's met was 1996, a golden year for movies, guys. Jerry Maguire, anyone? Show me the money. And I mean the highlights in this case. Defensive battle early, first quarter. Saints QB Tommy Kralik looking for the pass, but it's taken away by Keaton McGregor. Second quarter now, the Packers are driving. Cole Tiedemann picked off by the Saint, Gavin Miller, and he takes it into Packer territory. Boy, tough for me to say, but the ensuing drive stalls. West Fargo starts to click here. Tiedemann to a wide open Peyton McGregor. He rumbles all the way down to the Saints' 4-yard line. Next play, Tiedemann, a quick pass, looking for his main man, McGregor. West Fargo goes up 13-0 after that PAT. You know what else was a good movie back then? Space Jam. West Fargo wins it 30-7 over St. Mary's. I don't think that was McGregor for the touchdown. That was number 20, so not sure. Don't have the roster in front of me. But West Fargo wins tonight 30-7. We can bring up the scoreboard. Packers on top. Top 5 tilt in 11A. Red River visiting North. Spartans have won 6 straight in the series. The Rough Riders have been averaging over about 40 points per game. They've scored over 43 times this fall. Logan Harrison strips Ethan Welkier to get a big turnover. Then Pierce Parks to Quinn Nelson. 7-0 Red River. Then after a Spartan turnover, Parks goes deep to Hudson Flom, who outraces the defender. This is going to go for a 57-yard score. How about the big play of Rough Riders? Makes it 14-0. Spartans turn the ball over again, but they force Parks into making his own mistake. Peter Haugo, look at that juggling act for the interception. However, it wouldn't last long as John Williams gives it right back to Red River. Another fumble. There are fumbles all over the place in this one. Brett Feller then punches it in from 5 yards out, gives Grand Forks Red River a 21-0 lead at the half. After conceding a field goal, North looks to get back into the game when Haugo rips off this 32-yard run to the house. So North finally getting on the board in front of the home crowd. That's the number 3 ranked team in the state. However, the Rough Riders not going to let this one slip away. Hudson Flom picks off Welk. That pretty much seals the deal. Red River wins a big one, 38-6. David mentioned it. This was a butt whooping by North last year, and Red River goes down to North and returns the favor this time. A huge win for the Rough Riders. Biggest statement made in many, many years for that program.
You know, all week in practice, we're all preparing. We know this is going to be a huge game. We saw it was going to be their homecoming game, so, you know, put a little chip on our shoulder. So we came out here. We're going to fight to the end, and we did that.
Shown by those Rough Riders. Let's head out to Highliner country, home of the only undefeated Class A team in the state. Could Valley City keep stacking wins, or would Wapaton pull another upset? They beat number 1 Jamestown last week. Second play of the game, Gavin Gerhardt takes the handoff 63 yards. What a way to kick off homecoming. The crowd's going nuts over there. On the ensuing kickoff, sophomore Trayton Mauk. Oh, we've seen his speed on Midco Sports before. Mauk in the purple paw helmets. He is going to the house. with only 1 minute gone in the game. It's already 6-6. The rain's starting to fall. Second quarter, 12-6 Valley City leads after another Gerhardt TD, but this time it's Zach Sikora taking the handout 40 yards. Nearly gets it taken out at the end, but it's 19-6 home team. Huskies try passing for the first time in the game, but Bo Arnstein's pass tipped by Aiden Jacobson and picked by Ethan Miller. That's called teamwork. Valley City scores once more on a Bryson Heck QB sneak to make it 25-6 going into the half, and the Highliners are still proving that they are for real. A 40-6 win tonight. Now they get the big prove-it game against the defending state champs next week when they take on Jamestown. That one should be fun. All sorts of great matchups in 11-8 tonight. Speaking of Jamestown, ranked second in the state, taking on Dickinson. Blue Jays draw first blood through the air. Peyton Hochhalter looking for his tight end, Preston Gall. Gall right down the seam, defender diving at him, no chance. 54 yards to the house, 7-0 home team. Dickinson responsible. Steven Zawadney rolling to his right, tight coverage, doesn't matter. Chase Sally, touchdown. Midgets lead it 8-7 after the two-pointer. Jamestown steals the lead back though. Hochhalter to his main man, Jackson Walters. 14-8 Jamestown. Hochhalter keeps slinging it. This one from 41 yards out. Basically, he can throw from anywhere on the field. Sophomore Nate Walls with a touchdown. Hochhalter, 3 passing TDs, a rushing score in the first half. Blue Jays get the bounce back win 33-8 to move to 5-1 on the year. As we mentioned, the big showdown with Valley City next week. The top ranked team in 11B, Kindred in enemy territory tonight, visiting rival Central Cass. These two have been dominant the last 3 weeks. Every game has been decided by at least 30 points. After a scoreless first, we get things going midway through the second. 3rd and 10, Trey Heinrich into the end zone. 7 Rip Kindred on the ensuing possession for the Squirrels. Look out, the snap goes high on the punt and the Vikings get it inside the 10. But how about this? Central Cass's defense held strong after that. On 4th and goal from the 1, Heinrich is stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey. A swarm of squirrels going nuts. Remember, Kindred was up 8-0 at halftime last year and went on to win 35-0. Could Central Cass reverse that this year? Not so much. 3rd quarter, Heinrich, another touchdown, makes it 14-0 after a 3-and-out for the Squirrels and a short kick. Heinrich again, a heavy dose of Heinrich. The hat trick, actually, here's a touchdown here for Central Cass. Or a nice catch. I think that's Peyton Lamar, who almost got a game ball last week, was one of the top performers. Then they go to the air, and it's taken away by the Vikings, number 23 here. That's Kylan Swenson picking it off in the end zone. Now I'm all caught up. It's all Kindred tonight. They win it 28-0 in Castleton. It was all Trey Heinrich. He finishes with 4 touchdowns and the interception in this one. Again, 28-0 the final. Heinrich, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, a pick, and an interview afterward.
We knew we had to win this game, and we came here and executed, and it's always good beating your rivals. The offensive line, obviously, they come in clutch every game. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be as good as I am. And you know, the same with the defensive line. I wouldn't get my pick if they weren't getting pressure. But you know, it's all a team game, and I love my team.
There you saw some of that pressure from 75. Riley Sunram, the coveted recruit. Big matchup in Region 2. Bodno and Hillsborough Central Valley still with a shot to nab a number 1 seed. That's the backdrop for their first ever meeting. First quarter, after an early turnover, Burrows capitalized. Riley Olsen and Micah Longthorn for the touchdown. Braves struggling to get the offense going in this one. On 4th down, Ryder Pullman looking for Gabe Nero, but it's Longthorn again, this time on defense, coming up with a stop. Pullman getting a chance for redemption in the second. This guy, I've seen him throw for 5 touchdowns in a game several times, but the Burrow defense does more damage. This time it's Dylan Mitchell coming up with the interception. It's still 7-0, even though Bodno's getting all those chances. Later, Olsen going to show off that arm. He scrambles, but he's looking downfield, and he is right on the money. Cole Hebel, can I get one? 25-yard touchdown pass, missed PAT, makes it 13-0 Burrows. Bodno working to get that offense going before half. On 4th down, Pullman again looking at the end zone, but that is just the story of their night. They travel all the way across the state, but they come up hurting. Turnovers cost them tonight. HCV wins their 5th straight, though, 27-0 the final. Thompson still rolling in that Region 2. Beulah trying to keep pace with Trinity for the top spot in Region 4, but a tough matchup with the standout quarterback Joey Desir and Shiloh Christian tonight. Opening drive, picture perfect for Shiloh. Desir rolls left, finds Eli Thompson, 11 yards. No problem. Miners took the kickoff, and they marched back the other way. Roland Clinworth up the gut, 6 yards. It's a 1-point game. Beulah went for the lead on the PAT. Mason Melmer with the conversion. Makes it 8-7 Miners. Next drive, the Skyhawks go into the air this time. Beulah's Simone Boofing jumps the route, and it's clear sailing for the touchdown. Look at number 23. Boofing for the score. The Skyhawks stop on the Miners on the 4th down, deep in Beulah's end, and Michael Fagerlund with a 3-yard touchdown run makes it 16-13. Second quarter now, Melmer for the Miners finds the space to the outside, 10 yards, 24-13 Beulah. There's a lot of points put up in this one. Another drive, another touchdown for Beulah in that tricky offense. Trace Beauchamp in there. Then before the break, Desir is going to go to Fagerlund, and Fagerlund is going to do his best weave here. Just going to duck around you. He's in there. When the dust settles in this one, Beulah wins a shootout. 50. They get half 100 tonight, 50-36. They move to 6-1 on the season. Shiloh Christian now 5-2. Two teams heating up out west. Bishop Ryan has won 3 of its last 4, taking on Delax Burlington in search of their 4th straight win. Bishop Ryan up 7-6 to start the half, but it's DLB's Paxton Eastas faking the handoff. Looking downfield for Cashin Officer. He's down inside the 5, and then Eli Hennessy scores on that touchdown. Then Jet Lundeen to Gus Enderlind. Untouched into the end zone. 15-12 Ryan. Ball back in Lundeen's hands. He throws it off his back foot. Caden Began is there, and Caden, keep running, baby. I love to see, I don't know if he's a defensive lineman or a linebacker, but he is not going down. He fumbles into the end zone. Cole Connect is going to pick it up for the touchdown, so he nearly gets his score. But Delax Burlington gets what matters as well. They get the win on the board on the road. They go and beat Bishop Ryan. That's a big win for the Lakers, a 24-15 win. So lots of big-time scores and a lot of fun action tonight, guys. Congrats to Larimore getting a win tonight. That's why the Polar Bears helmet is out front. And 4 wins Minnewacan getting a big dub along with Lisbon over here. So plenty of helmets on display tonight. And we will be back with South Dakota highlights coming up next. We'll see what Jandy and David have to say. A lot of big matchups, including that Pierre-Brandon Valley showdown.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics.
Welcome back, David Brown, Jason Andera. The big story this week in South Dakota, at least leading up to today, Jefferson and O'Gorman, the 1 versus 2 matchup in AAA.
Yeah, this is the one everybody wanted to see. 2 teams that put up exponentially points on the offensive side, and just such explosive offenses. That's what we thought we were in ready to see on this night. And one team showed up.
Yes, one team made out their averages, the other didn't. Here are the highlights on a game you saw right here on Midco Sports. This is the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Bennett Dannenbring to Sullivan Schlimgen, 54 yards. This is a 4th down conversion to Maverick Jones, but unfortunately, they couldn't get it into the end zone. Peyton Hagee with a 30-yard field goal, 3-0 O'Gorman. But then 35 unanswered points from Sioux Falls Jefferson. Talon Ashley, Griffin Wilde. Watch these moves on a 64-yard touchdown.
He weaves in and out. I mean, this guy is electric with the ball. This is why he does so well in special teams and his run after catches.
Probably the most surprising thing, the defense for Sioux Falls Jefferson. Bo Giblin, 21-yard pick 6, 14-3, just like that. Then Vince Benedetto actually called multiple timeouts at the end of the first quarter, so they would have to punt into the win. It was a negative 5-yard punt. They started this drive at the O'Gorman 11, and Nelson Wright did the rest. Quick touchdown. First play of the second quarter, Thomas Heiberger, the pressure.
Is that a fumble or an interception?
I would say it's a fumble because Dannenbring didn't actually throw it. It was more like coughed up. Either way, it's another defensive score. 28-3 Jefferson. Under a minute to go before halftime. Ashley, Siegfried, an offensive touchdown.
Big day for Siegfried. How about that? Getting the defensive play and then coming back on offense.
35-3 at halftime. O'Gorman, they tried to make things work here in the second half. They did well for about the third quarter, early part of the fourth quarter. Bennett Dannenbring will eventually get a touchdown here, but by that point, it was too little, too late. 35-10 after this touchdown from Dannenbring. And as we go to the final score, it is 42-17. There was a garbage time touchdown for O'Gorman from the backups. But nevertheless, Just a big win for Sioux Falls Jefferson and a statement victory.
A couple notes on this game. You saw Nelson Wright run, and he ran well in the first half until he had to come out of the game.
Did not play in the second half.
Due to injury, so again, they played really well with him in there, and then in the third quarter, it kind of was a stalemate again. I really think he's a huge factor. I think they'll let him heal up and save him for a couple more weeks down the road.
Yep, Sioux Falls Jefferson is at Rapid City Stevens next week. O'Gorman, they will host Washington next Friday in a game you will see right here on Midco Sports. Probably the story of the night, Pierre Brandon Valley, the number 1 team in 11 AA against the number 4 team in AAA. And Pierre did not get off to the greatest start. Lincoln Keenholz intercepted by Rylan Carroll.
Yeah, underthrown, and there wasn't any win. Nice play by Carroll to go up and get it. And the crowd was pumped up, and they cashed in right away on these turnovers.
Lucas Slack, Dylan Langrock, 85 yards, 7-0 Lynx.
Dylan Langrock stepped up huge. Nate Andreessen, their other leading receiver, had a separated shoulder, wasn't able to play. Langrock saw a lot of defense, but he came up big, and then they stripped him. Got another huge turnover to get into scoring position, and Delvon Spears-Whitty, he is another guy that makes a huge difference for these Lynx.
Touchdown after the turnover. It's 14-0 Brandon Valley. Then Slack to who else but your boy, Bonwell Whitty.
Yep, this is Devion Bonwell Whitty. He is just a freshman, everybody. Watch out. He's going to be making plays like this for several years. And the electricity was in the building as Brandon Valley goes up 3 scores before Lincoln Keenholz finally gets Pierre on the board.
So it was 21-0. That touchdown from Keenholz made it 21-7. But back comes Brandon Valley. Slack into the end zone, 28-7. So a 21-point deficit multiple times for Pierre.
No defense being played in the first half here. Both teams moving the ball at will.
This is a key. A touchdown to Jet Zabel just before halftime. So that cuts it to 28-14. Second half, Pierre, they start to find their mojo. Keenholz, 53-yard touchdown run.
They don't have to hand the ball off because they got the best runner on the field taking snaps. And he did it again. Lincoln Keenholz with his legs, with his arms, just making a huge difference.
So now Pierre's within 7 at 28-21, but Brandon Valley comes right back. Slack, Langrock, 50 yards. Just short. They score on the next play. 34-21, missed the extra point, so they're up 13.
Missed the extra point. That was key.
Keenholz. Oh, look out. Jen, you all right after Jet Zabel?
That was Max shooting, and he did draw blood on that. So congratulations, Max.
Thank you, Max Jensen, for hanging in there. 34-28, and then it's Zabel again. They get the PAT this time. Pierre takes its first lead, 35-34.
Yeah, they went for 2 to get up by a couple, and then they poured one on at the end. But Jet Zabel, huge night for him to get 3 receiving touchdowns. Merkwan got one. Keenholz was just unbelievable once again. But in the first half of this game, this was a Brandon Valley, game they had under control because they had cashed in on 2 turnovers, and there was a penalty on a Pierre Governor touchdown
that got called back.
That got called back from 80 yards. So those 3 plays helped Brandon Valley out huge. But in the second half, Pierre just took control of this game. And after the game, we were able to catch up with quarterback Lincoln Keenholz.
Honestly, I don't think it matters with class, AA, AAA, A. I mean, there's some good football teams, and we obviously showed it today. T showed it when they played O'Gorman as well. So, I mean, I think we can play with anyone in the state.
You've been saying all year AA has been the most interesting class to you, and we've seen it now with T over O'Gorman, so that was a 2 over a 2, and now a 1 over a 4 with Pierre over Brandon Valley, showing that these teams, as he said, it doesn't matter the class, and I think early on people thought, oh, Brandon Valley's up 21-0. Of course, Pierre's not going to be able to play a class above, but not so fast as Lee Corso
Pierre was
say.
the better team. I watched the entire game. Pierre was the better team. They could not be stopped by Brandon Valley. Brandon Valley, although took advantage of a lot of situations in the game and built a lead up, and they were hard to stop as well. Like I said, not a lot of defense being played in this game, but in the second half, the Pierre Governors made 2 huge stops. One on 4th down and got Brandon Valley turned over on downs, and then one made him punt. And really, that was the difference in the second half and why Pierre ended up taking this one and sealing and delivering this one.
Another AA win over AAA. Pierre over Brandon Valley today. Let's go to more AA highlights in this one. We're going to start with Sturgis and T area. Blake Thompson around the left side and into the end zone. 7-0 T, and it was really all Titans from there. Here's a nice catch and run by Owen Udiger from Sturgis, but really not a whole lot else going on for Sturgis.
Sturgis' backup quarterback was in. Owen Cass did not play in this one. And the T Titans, I mean, last week Chase Van Tol ran for 225 yards in a school record. This week over 100 again. This is a machine when they are running the football like this.
There's a Chase Van Tol touchdown, makes it 14-0. Nathan Babb's going to get the interception here off the pass from Sturgis. And then it's going to be the Chase Van Tol show because he's going to make a great catch. He's going to add another touchdown here. First, we're going to take a look at the catch as Slykehouse eludes pressure. Nice catch in traffic there by Van Tol, and he'll finish off the drive with another touchdown.
Yeah, this guy, the most versatile player. He can pass, he can catch, he can run, he can kick. He literally does everything for these T Titans, and now they've won 23 consecutive regular season games. T is looking really good, and I think you mentioned it, Pierre and T both getting big wins over AAA teams. They might be two of the three best teams in the state right now.
And it seems right now that unless there's some sort of shakeup in the playoffs, easy for me to say, Pierre and T, I put them together. Yeah. Pierre and T are on a crash course for the Dakota Dome.
And they play in a couple weeks
in
Pierre.
True.
That's going to be a lot of fun, maybe a little preview.
Nevertheless, it is T by 50 over Sturgis. Number 3 and 4 in AA up in Brookings tonight. Yankton and Brookings. Rugby Riken. Touchdown pass there. That makes it 7-0.
Yeah, this has been a series dominated by Brookings in the recent years, but Yankton came in as the favorites, and they got Rugby Riken, and then they got the defense to add to it.
Cody Oswald on the touchdown. Lucas Kampshoff had the pick. And then Rugby Riken with a rushing touchdown. 14-0 Yankton. Next drive, Yankton and Riken buying time, finding Tyler Solar. Nice nifty moves down the sideline. It's 21-0 Bucks. But here come the Bobcats. Bobcats have struggled a bit on offense this season, but Tyson Brandt's a veteran of that team. He runs in 21-7. That cuts the lead. Next drive, Justin Koffel with the QB keeper. That cuts it to 21-14.
Yeah, Koffel made 2 plays on that drive, totaling over almost 70 yards, so he was a huge factor in that drive.
Third quarter, Koffel keeps it again, so they're down 21-0. Brookings ties it at 21 apiece, but Yankton would find its groove after that. Riken to Solar once again in the end zone, 28-21 Bucks. And then Riken on the ground, through the air, doesn't matter, his 5th touchdown of the game, 2nd rushing, 35-21 at that point, 38-27 your final 3 over 4 in AA.
Yeah, Brookings, give them credit. They came back, made this thing close, and Yankton, without Gavin Swanson last week and now with this week, still finding a way to put some points on the board, and of course, Rugby Riken has a lot to do with that.
Yankton in a AAA matchup with Roosevelt next week. That'll be an interesting matchup.
That's a Saturday game, yeah.
How Roosevelt has struggled this season in AAA. Brookings, meanwhile, is at Aberdeen Central. West Central and Tri-Valley, 11A versus 11B. This one in Tri-Valley. Colby Carruthers, he's going to recover the fumble here for Tri-Valley. The Mustangs maybe taking advantage of some early turnovers. Unfortunately for them, the drive would stall, and West Central would take control after that. I think we said Justin Zerpel to Owen Heath about 4 times last week. Here's the 5th time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Owen Heath getting the game ball last week with 5 receiving touchdowns, and tonight 2 more for the big tight end, and that connection is going to be scary in 11A all season long.
7-0 Trojans at that point.
Deuce
Sherrard runs it in, 14-0 West Central. And the Trojans would just keep on rolling from there. Zerpel rolls out, deep shot. Xavier Ferris. Look at that catch in triple coverage. My goodness.
Yeah, Chris Hernandez said, yeah, we tried that. We meant to do that.
Yes, and then next play, Zerpel runs it in, 21-0 West Central. And just because we like this Zerpel to Owen Heath connection, why don't we show another touchdown between Mr. Zerpel and Mr. Heath? It'll come right here to make it 27-0 West Central.
Yeah, Zerpel had a huge day again, 10 of 14, 152 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, another one rushing, a huge day for Zerpel and West Central as they continue to command this class.
Here's Aiden Bartman bouncing off defenders like a pinball machine. West Central rolls into the end zone, and they roll from here. 48-0 is your final. And we're going to see highlights in just a second, but West Central and Winter next week. That's going to be incredibly intriguing.
Yeah, me likey.
A simple man with some simple words, Jason Andera, and you want to know why?
I'm excited. I mean, what else do you want me to say, Dave?
Well, I want you to say the reason you're excited is because of what Winter did tonight, and we're going to see those Winter highlights right now as they take on Bridgewater Emory Ethan.
Oh, we got
But first, we got Beersford and Dells Rapid. I got ahead of myself. I'm sorry about that.
This is a good matchup, though. 2 versus 3, and this Del Rapids team, they have shown that they can just line up and knock people over. They have loved to run the ball the last couple weeks.
9-minute drive for Dells to start. Mason Stubbe would start it with the touchdown, then Jack Henry takes the sweep to the end zone. 14-0 Del Rapids at halftime. Peyton Fidrich got Beersford on the board. And apparently got into the end zone there. Yes, no, maybe so. Bit of a scramble for it. Either way.
They got to talk about that.
They got to talk about that one.
We got to talk about that. I have no idea what just happened.
Exactly. Mason Stubbe again. That would be icing on the cake. Late touchdown, 20-6. Del Rapids the final over Beersford in a 2 versus 3 matchup.
Yeah, I kind of expected a lower scoring game in this one, and that's what happened. And Del Rapids plays well in these low scoring matchups. And now Beersford on the season has only lost to undefeated teams. So take that into consideration with that 4-2 record. They're still a very dangerous team.
Now Winter and Bridgewater Emory Ethan. Got them all mixed up, but the reason we're excited about West Central versus Winter is because of what Winter did to Bridgewater Emory Ethan tonight. This is a 1 versus 2 matchup, but Winter showing why they are winners. Blake Vollmer finds some open field, takes it 30 yards inside the 5-yard line, and then right after that, Aiden Barfus straight ahead, 6-0 after the first quarter.
I love watching Aiden Barfus. I love watching this Winter offense and the way that they share the runs between Vollmer, between Riley Orrell, and Aiden Barfus.
And Vollmer, Barfus. Let's do one more time. That makes it 14-0 Winter. They had a chance to add to that before halftime. But Vollmer's pass to the end zone is actually going to get picked off by Drake Gustafson for Bridgewater Emory Ethan. Little tip drill action there. So it was still 14-0 at the half. Unfortunately for the Seahawks, they really couldn't get any offense going. Vollmer atones for that miscue because he intercepts the opposing QB Macklin Weber. That would set up his own 1-yard touchdown run. And just like that, it would be 22-0 Winter Warriors.
Yeah, this Winter team obviously dominates on the run, but tried to pass a couple times, had that one interception, but showed that they can do a little bit of everything. And I already mentioned it, but they've got a gauntlet coming up, an undefeated Bridgewater Emory Ethan team that they played, West Central, who's also undefeated next week, and then they also have Mount Vernon Plankinton to end the season. So Winter going to get tested for sure.
And we heard from the victorious Warriors afterwards.
First time in history we've played here. They got a great coach. I mean, things kind of went our way. We just kept grinding, and eventually we kind of broke it up in the second half. It helped. We had a bye week last week, so we had 2 weeks to prepare for them. But main thing was just stop the run. These guys, obviously like us, they're run heavy. They want to run. So if you stop that, we had a pretty good chance.
You know, we didn't mention it, but it goes without saying this is a huge rivalry. But this is the first time Winter's actually gone to Bridgewater to play them. But they've met each other, of course, in the finals
yes,
3 straight years. And they came in as 1 versus 2, and who knows, they might still see each other once again later in the season. But 11B is packed with undefeated teams, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
And Winter just continues to roll in the regular season once again. And as you mentioned, they might be set up for another showdown in Vermilion, but for now it is Winter 36-0 over Bridgewater Emory Ethan. More highlights. Parkston and Gregory, AA versus A. Gregory's Rylan Peck to Eli Fogel, 80-yard touchdown in the first quarter. PAT was no good, but it is 6-0 Gorillas. Gorillas, remember, the number 1 team in 9A. Parkston, Caleb Weber, the QB keeper, they get the 2-pointer, 8-6. Then later, it's Weber scrambling. Gets absolutely demolished by Eli Fogel. The ball is loose, recovered by Owen Hansen. He returns at 47 yards for the touchdown. That made it 12-8 Gregory.
That was a shot. This Gregory team has some physicality to them, that's for sure. But look at this. They can air it out, too.
Peck to Fogel again, 18-8 Gregory at halftime. But third quarter, the halftime pep talk works and Parkston comes alive. Luke Borman on the end around, cut off, but the defenders miss. He outruns the pack for 55 yards into the end zone. 2-point try is good. That cuts it to 18-16. Fourth quarter, Braden Jervik fighting his way into the end zone, 4 yards out, 24-18. Parkston takes the lead. Gregory, they come right back. Peck running around, somehow escapes this pressure, fires to the end zone, and it's caught. Cade Stukel, 25-24. Gregory, after the PAT, is good. But then later, on offense, they mishandle things. Parkston recovers, and Parkston, who get the go-ahead score with under a minute to go, 2-pointer good, 32-25. Parkston, 9AA over 9A Gregory, but still beating the number one team in 9A, even if it's a class down. Huge, impressive win for Parkston.
This is great. This is a great win for Parkston, and I'll tell you what, some of these games, you have to just go back and watch the whole game. There's so many fun moments in this game. I'm definitely going to check this one out. And the Gregory Gorillas, obviously a really good 9A team. But tonight get their first loss of the year, and we didn't have the highlights, but Warner stays undefeated in 9A, and they had another awesome game. Watch that one too online if you can, against Hamlin, a team that I think is a really good 9AA team. So one of the 9A teams gets the win, one of the 9AA teams get the win in a battle of ranked teams between those two classes.
Yeah, it was Warner over Hamlin 8-6. You see a lot of these cross-class matchups, and especially at the higher levels tonight, we certainly saw something.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a couple quick notes I want to mention. Congratulations to James Haskamp, the coach at Hanson, who got his 200th win, and congratulations to Brendan Begeman of Harriet Selby area.
Yes, Mr. Begeman
goes into 5,000-yard territory. Only 13 players. He's 13th on the all-time list now in career rushing numbers, so a huge milestone for him.
And you tweeted that whole list, so go to Jason Andera's Twitter account. He's got the whole list of the top rushers in South Dakota State history, but Mr. Begeman now among the top 13
and he's got
all time.
Maybe 6 games left. He can get quite a ways up that list.
When we come back, we'll do a little zone coverage. We're covering a lot here on Varsity Sports Live.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Time now for Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. He mentioned Jerry Maguire a little bit earlier. Well, Jody, you complete us, and we need you to complete the show. So let's kick it off with zone coverage up in Fargo.
Thanks, guys. Well, yeah, I mean, a big win tonight for Shanley. And not only was it a big win tonight for the Deacons, but it also was win number 100 for Troy Mattern, the head coach. Obviously won 2 state titles at Fargo South, has won a state title at Shanley, and his Deacons get the big 28-16 win tonight. And they had to kind of come back and rally in the second half against a legacy team that has been pretty darn good this season. Here's Troy afterwards.
Can't happen in any quarter, and I thought our kids obviously responded really well second half, and I'm very proud of them.
You know, and we responded really well there in the second half. As the first half, you couldn't really hear much, but Troy obviously just being really proud of his squad and the way they performed tonight. And they are one of those teams that are at the top of the conference right now. There's about 4 or 5 teams that are sitting at 5-1. Cheyenne is with them, Davies is with them, Mandan's with them. It's going to be a pretty fun finish to the season in 11AA. How about the win tonight by Red River? They got beat up on by North last year. They've gotten beat up a lot of times over the last couple of years, but this year, something different about this Rough Riders team. They win 38-6 tonight. Vern Muir, after the game, pretty pleased with the way his team is performing right now.
Yeah, it's huge for us, especially with this, playing against North. For the last 6 years, they've been kind of a quote-unquote thorn in our side. I mean, they thumped us pretty good last year here. They came up to our place 2 years ago, and it was 28-0 before we even knew the game started. So the last 2 games we played against these guys, they've had a little bit better team than we have, but they've been able to get out to a quick start. Tonight, the tables were turning. It was us. It was our turn to do that. So it's a great win for our program, a great win for our kids, and a great win for our community.
Boy, that sophomore quarterback, Pierce Parks, is quite the athlete. So a good win for Red River tonight. Kinder, the number 1 team in 11B, beats up on Central Cass again, just like last year. Close game at the half, and then the Vikings just kind of wear you down with that big physical offensive line. And Trey Heinrich, they get the win 28-0. Here's Matt Crane.
He's a kid that we're trying to get the ball to. They know it, we know it, and we're going to keep feeding him because, our offensive line play is playing at a really high level right now. We got one of the best backs in the state, and when we're clicking, it's fun to watch, and so, we're just going to keep feeding them and letting them do work.
All right, so a big win for the Vikings. I would maybe put their helmet on if I had one, so make sure you give me one. If Valley City had their helmet here, I'd put a Valley City helmet on tonight, guys, but when you win your 100th game and it's a top 5 win for Shanley, I'm putting on the Red Deacon logo tonight.
There we go. You found.
I'm going to put it on like this so I don't really stretch out the. I got to rip out the IFB.
There you go. I know you probably can't hear
you
us.
guys.
I know. See, there you go. Can you fit that through the ear hole, and you'll be just fine.
That's what the ear hole's for, right?
Exactly. And ironic, because I'll just ask you one more question before we leave. Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Yeah, mine is weighing a little bit bigger after this is on here.
And you mean more to us than a weight in gold. So thank you once again, Jody. Appreciate everything.
You betcha.
You are the man.
Bring us home.
Thank you very much. I will try to bring things home, and well, you had us at highlights, but
yeah,
basically
exactly.
Another great night in North Dakota. Thanks to Jody for everything there. And then here in South Dakota, the big story of the night, Pierre over Brandon Valley.
Yeah, Pierre came in, got down early in this game. They had a couple of bad turnovers that Brandon Valley capitalized on, got down 14-0 quickly. Pierre had a touchdown erased by a penalty. They had several other penalties, but found a way in the second half and found that resolve. And after the game, Steve Steele, he said his heart rate was going through the roof. We talked to him.
That was a blast, absolute blast. And it's just one of those things where it is hard to control yourself. It's hard to keep that poise and just to stay there and be what the team needs at times. Just like all of our kids, they don't want to let their emotions control them. And I think that's a hard thing to do in a tough environment. I mean, this was a really fun place to play against a great opponent that's well coached and well schemed, and going down. Going down 21-0 right off the bat, it was a hard thing for everybody to stick with it and keep the emotions and the frustration down. And I'm just so proud of these kids for doing that.
And what I liked about him, being the math guy that he is when they scored that they were up 35-34. They scored a touchdown to go up 41-34. You go for 2 to make it a 9-point lead, make it a 2-possession game, and it worked.
It worked, and even on top of that, they got Brandon Valley to jump offside, so they had half the distance, and it was an easy 2-point conversion for Lincoln Kienholz. But I'll tell you what, he's right. He had his heart pumping throughout the game, and he got onto the field several times, congratulating his guys in the trenches for doing their job. It was a lot of fun to see the excitement, because every week Pierre doesn't get games like this, not very often during the year. So when they get a game where they can really have a competitive outcome, they all get pumped up.
Well, speaking of competitive outcomes, that was a great one between AAA and AA. But in 11A, Del Rapids over Beersford tonight in a 2-3 matchup.
Yeah, Del Rapids still undefeated, and this is a team that continues to roll. Maybe one of the quietest undefeated teams we've seen in a while. And Jordan Huska, after the game, caught up with us and gave us a little report.
They're a well-coached football team, very physical football team. Kind of came in knowing that it would be a 4-quarter game with them, and they were physical. We ended up being able to pull away a little bit with that fourth with that last touchdown. Hopefully continue to just get better each week. Each day we show up to practice, we just keep trying to get better. Nothing specifically. We'll look at the film from tonight and work on our areas that we need to improve on.
Well, Del Rapids and West Central, they're undefeated, but they don't play each other in the regular season, so this will be very interesting down the stretch in 11A.
Yeah, there's going to be different opinions. Which team is better, and we're not going to find out for a while, but this Del Rapids team, like Jordan said, is very physical, and that's what they needed, and that's what they did to beat the Watchdogs tonight.
20-6, Del Rapids over Beersford tonight in 11A. When we come back, we will wrap it all up here on Varsity Sports Live.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. Big wins tonight for Pierre and for T. And in my haste and reading too quickly, I combined them into P, but at least it's P-E-A.
Exactly.
But if they were a co-op, they would be one hell of a co-op.
I mean, Lincoln Kienholz with this team that trucks, they're going to see each other in a couple weeks, Dave.
That they were.
I mean, that's that's going to be the new biggest game of the year.
Absolutely. We will see you a little bit later this season, and we will see you guys a little bit later. Thanks for tuning in. For Jody and Jandy, I'm Brownie. We'll see you next week.